parents who are abusive and who are themselves targeting children. So what the trans activists, what the people over there are actually claiming is not that kids have a right to be castrated, but that doctors have the right to castrate them. They are fighting for the right of adults to abuse and harm and mutilate and permanently damage and destroy children. That's what all those people over there are fighting for. It's disgusting, it's evil. Now third, finally, with all that said, I actually agree with the premise, sort of. This case is about the rights of children. It's about the right of a child to be protected from the gender butchers. That's what it's about. Children have the constitutional right, the human right, the God-given right to live and grow and learn about themselves and the world without being indoctrinated and exploited by people who reject the fundamental realities of existence. Children have a right to go through phases, to have moments of confusion and discomfort in their own bodies, just like every generation of children before them, without that confusion being seized upon as a pretense to do irreparable harm to their body. Claiming that this is all about the rights of children, I say again, yes, you're right, it is. They have a right to be protected from you. Children have a right to be protected from all of those people over there who want to harm them and damage them and destroy them. And they will be. They are going to lose. They are losing right now. We are not going to let them harm our children. This case is just the beginning of the fight. It is not the end. We are not going to rest until every child is protected, until trans ideology is entirely erased from the earth. That's what we're fighting for, and we will not stop until we achieve it. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Our next speaker is Terry Schilling. Terry is the president of American Principles Project. He is responsible for developing and implementing APP's strategy, messaging, and political activity at the state and federal levels. Since taking the reins at APP, Terry has overseen its growth into the premier national organization defending the family in politics. In 2021, he founded APP's Big Family Initiative, which aims to make the family into the most powerful special interest group in Washington, D.C. Through APP's Super PAC, he has also directed numerous election efforts, including campaigns to make defending women's sports and protecting parental rights in education key Republican issues. Please join me in welcoming Terry.
God bless you, Beth, and thank you guys. Listen, I'm just a dad with the Political Action Committee that wants to make these gender butchers pay a political price for hurting our kids. It's that simple. That's right. Well, I got 7 kids, and I'll tell you what, being a dad is the most important and fulfilling and rewarding and amazing thing I've ever been able to do. And the idea that we would rob an entire generation of America's children from ever becoming fathers or ever becoming mothers, it's criminal and people should be punished for this. I have a very simple message to the trans industry, the $4.4 billion trans industry. You will not take our children, and your days of harming their children are numbered. And once we ban these procedures, we won't stop there. We are going to get every person who went through this gross exploitation compensated for the damages that they underwent. We won't stop until we give these poor kids and adults some basic and minimal level of justice. So to every corrupt hospital, doctor, surgeon, clinic, therapist, preserve your documents because we're coming for you. Our laws are meant to protect the vulnerable. That is the entire point. You form a government to secure our rights. And the youth of America who suffer from gender confusion should be protected as much as anyone else in this country. Right now, there's a billion-dollar industry that is exploiting these poor children and their parents to line their pockets, buy more vacation homes, and buy yachts, all at the expense of our future, our children. It's criminal. They've robbed these kids of fatherhood. They've robbed them of motherhood. And of course, they've also robbed the children of our future who won't even exist because they won't be able to have these parents. I have three numbers for you: 1.3, 4.4, and 200. There are 1.3 estimated Americans who identify as trans. Right now, only a handful of them have transitioned or tried to do any type of surgery, and the industry is worth $4.4 billion. The goal of the transgender industry is to transition all 1.3 million of those kids and Americans, and if they do that, they will be a $200 billion behemoth that will be almost impossible to stop until we are all gone. To put the $200 billion number in perspective, that is larger than the entire film industry in America. Any nation that sacrifices its children for money is sacrificing its future, and like Matt Walsh said, it deserves to die, and it will. Our children are our future, and we would rather die than see this transgender industry destroy them. Thank you all, and God bless you.
Thank you, Terry. Our next speaker is Laura Becker. Laura is a detransitioner, advocate, and author of an upcoming memoir, Surviving the Trans Myth. Laura was groomed into gender ideology as a depressed adolescent, and at 19 was prescribed testosterone. Despite her abuse history and suicidal ideation, her breasts were removed due to the lies of gender-affirming care. As a survivor, she writes and speaks internationally, advocating against the harms of medicalizing children and vulnerable young adults instead of treating their mental health issues and trauma. Please join me in welcoming Laura.
Today, as the leader of an organization that fights unapologetically for gender justice, I'm here today as a lawyer.
At 9, I began growing breasts. I was uncomfortable and confused about growing up. At 11, I was anxious and depressed and diagnosed with autism. I was drugged with antidepressants that made me numb and sick. No one protected me.
Sex is okay.
My boy,
Thank goodness for Linda.
I believed I was ugly, disgusting, and worthless. He wished that I was never born.
Because I know that
No one protected me.
they are trying to tell this court
By
what
15,
has long
I was
been
disassociated from life.
true. The 14th
Self-harming with
Amendment
porn,
has
drugs, and
that
alcohol.
under the Equal Protection
In school,
Clause, you can't
I was taught about
discriminate
gender
based on
ideology
sex.
and believing I wasn't a normal girl. I
Everyone
came out
except
as
for trans
non-binary.
folks, you can't
No one
discriminate
protected
based on
me.
sex.
At 18,
And
I
it is
didn't feel
heartbreaking
lovable.
to hear about the
I was
family at the
suicidal.
center of this case.
And
All they
thought I
want
was
is
a
for
gay
their
man.
kids to be able to be
Everyone
themselves, to be able to hang out with their
affirmed me.
friends, to go to school safely,
At 19,
to do all the things
prescribed
that teens in
testosterone
this country like to
and
do.
injected hormones.
Denying
until I had a
trans
mental
youth
breakdown.
access to health care
And everyone
simply
affirmed me.
because of their sex,
At
when
20,
such medical care
I
is
thought in order
regularly
to save
guaranteed
my
to
life,
other cisgender
I have to
patients.
lay on a
That
table
is
and have my
sex
breasts
discrimination.
sliced off. They
But
were
it is
thrown
also
in the trash.
another example of the wild and
protected
weird
me.
hyper focus
At 22, I and met
the lives
to suppress the pain of my
conform
mutilated
to their
body.
narrow ideas,
I
their
lay in
narrow
bed planning my
stereotypes.
death.
So,
But-
listen, the lower court was wrong when it determined that the Tennessee law was okay.
One more
But I
time.
want you all to know, to get to that decision, they had to contort themselves. They had to throw out a lot of case law dealing with how we
PTSD
treat sex-based
from childhood.
decisions in this country. Stop. And they also had to send a lot of dangerous messages
body
around
was never
how we
the
think
problem.
about trans folks that
My
we now have to
safety
go
was.
around debunking. So here goes. You've heard it already, and I'm going to
Don't
say it
know
again because we have
what
to
is
keep
safe and not
debunking it
safe.
again.
What
So
is
one,
healthy
hormone
and
therapy is
harmful?
safe. Studies have
What is
confirmed
loving?
it.
or abusive.
I mean, I say this as someone who's approaching that period of time where we're thinking about a lot.
Confusion and teaches
it's also life-saving for transgender adolescents.
Deserves to be medically mutilated because they are too fragile.
We know that studies have found that it means that young people do better in school, have stronger relationships with their parents and peers, so their gender is recognized.
Accept reality's limitations and nurturing them into healthy adults.
We also
children who are lied to about their sex
when
will
leave
instead
healthcare decisions
grow to be adults like me, whose bodies will never be whole. Children who are lied to will cry themselves to sleep. They will blame themselves when there are powerful forces who cause this to happen. I am now 27 and love being a woman. I survived and became the adult I needed as a child. I dream of being a good mother to my kids, who will always know that they are strong and worthy, that they are not broken and need fixing. I have to wear a mastectomy bra for the rest of my life. And I still have grief.
Well, I'm going to give you
but I am one of the lucky ones.
Because not all of us could be
many of my detransition friends are sterilized.
You raised your voice today
and abandoned by the medical system.
Young people across this country who deserve
but change is coming.
Their lives, their
we
bodies,
elected a new administration that appointed Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
But
to make America healthy
cannot
again.
leave this podium without also reminding you exactly.
This includes stopping what was done to me and my friends.
Judges around this country.
Yeah, why are abuse survivors here?
This is the sort of case that reminds us that we need a federal bill that will stop this.
Where are the therapists? Why are parents coming to me,
different perspectives
desperately
and different
trying to save their kids?
The impacts of these
because professionals have grossly abdicated their responsibility to first do no harm. Bodily discomfort is not a disease. Puberty is not a disease.
It's just the latest reminder that we cannot afford to have judges
nothing else has
who will not follow the law.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fatima. Let's give her Fatima. Okay, community, where are you at?
From the trans community. Today, Christian travels around the country to share her story with legislators, parents, and children.
Listen, one of the things that I find really interesting about our community, the LGBTQ plus community, is that we are, I would imagine, one of the, if not the most intersectional communities that exist. That means we are in every race, every religion, every gender, every nationality, every sexuality, every single body type, every single type of human being that exists. LGBTQ plus people exist in those identities as well. Which means we are over in that group too. They might not want to admit it, but we're there. It also means that our community spreads across this globe like no other. We are connected with queer people that we've never even met. We are connected with trans people that we've never even met. We are connected with all types of people that we have never even met, which is why our story resonates so much, which is why we are on the mouths and lips of every single person trying to make laws and trying to pass policies about who we are, but the problem is they are not including who we are. And so right now, what I want to see is the community right now, because we have a long history. We have a long history of persevering and overcoming and triumphing, even when we're not on the books, even when there aren't laws that recognize, when there haven't been historically laws that have recognized who we are. We've been there the entire time, and we are here right now. Let's make some noise for community. I want you to get to, chances are, you come across this country from some somewhere, you probably rode a bus from somewhere, and you do not know who you're standing next to. So I want you to look to the person to your left, and look to the human being, whatever. Look to the person next to you. And get to know them. Yeah. Say hi, how you doing? Say I love you. I want you to look at the other person, the other side of you. Say hi, how you doing? Say I love you. Let them know that you are here for them, and ask them if they are here for you. And once you are, if you're willing to, give a hug or a handshake if you're able to, if you would like to, or just give some loving beams. Whatever you're able to do, let's spread that love and share some of that love, y'all. We have a few speakers coming up. Are you ready for your next speakers? Are you ready for your next speakers? We hear a lot about trans youth. We hear a lot about schools. We hear a lot about education. And like I said, we're already there. And I can tell you, when I was a young queer person coming up in school, I wish that I would have had access to the type of community that I'm seeing right here on these steps. I wish that I didn't even have a GFA in my school. And so, the first time I heard that there was a bisexual person in high school, other than me, who was obviously out and queer, I went roaming the halls looking for like the bisexual person that was the rumored to be in school. And we've come so far. Right now we have an opportunity for people to be able to identify with each other and figure it out together. And we have some people that are helping with that work from Transformative Schools. Please give it up to the founders, Ro Pena and board member Rabbi Abby Stein.
Was a gender identity crisis. None of my delusional beliefs were questioned, despite a history of severe mental illness and impairment that impacted my ability to perceive reality. I used to go to my doctors and tell them that I was fat, and when I was underweight, and I was malnourished, and I was dying, they didn't eat.
Their needs, and they know how to cry out when those needs are not being met. They are their own experts, and they're grown up. It's their job to listen to them and help them meet their needs. And that is how we care children. As kids get older, they develop a deeper understanding of who they are, and then if we prove ourselves to be trustworthy adults, they will share that truth with us. I'm here today to cry out on behalf of my community. Our children need and deserve access to the same gender-affirming medical care that their cisgender peers enjoy. And they deserve a society that supports them as they navigate the tender complexities of adolescence. At Transformative Schools, we trust children to know who they are. We trust them because we know their truths will emerge from a place within them that is honest and knowing, especially when it's a truth counter to what those grown-ups in their delivery room assumed some years ago. We trust their caregivers too. We trust parents and families to understand their children's cry. Trust them to love their children unconditionally and to continue to support their babies with an unwavering resolve to do right by them as they grow. And we trust that child's doctors who vow to do no harm. We are clear that critical life-saving decisions about child's health should be made by medical professionals, the child, and their family. Care protects truth. Trust supportive doctors, trust families, and trust our trans youth. Thank you.
I was able to have a child. At this point, more I still live with the life-altering consequences of
Thank you,
unnecessary
Ro.
drugs.
This is Transformative Schools that I have gotten to know being on the board over the past year. It's truly life-saving and something that I know would have saved me so much pain had we been around when I was a child. My name is Abby Stein. I'm a rabbi. I'm a board member of Transformative Schools. And most importantly today, I am an out and proud trans person. I mentioned earlier I'm a rabbi, so I can't help myself. Bear with me for a second. The The first moment we get introduced to humanity, our Torah, our Bible tells us, God created people in their image. Before, that verse is very complicated, but before we even get to male and female, the most important part is we are all, as people, regardless of our gender, we are the image of God, and when you attack us, you attack creation, you attack the existence of the universe. When we are introduced in the Bible to judges, we are told that they need to judge people justly. I have one message to the illegitimate people in this building. If you dare to harm our children, if you dare to rule unjust, it will be our moral, our religious, and our spiritual responsibility to disobey. You only get to have any power as a judge if you judge justly. And I want you to repeat with me. I'm gonna say fight back, and if you can find the power in you to scream disobey, do it with me. Because that is our responsibility. If someone questions you, you can tell them that a rabbi told you that that's what you have to do. We're blamed for so many things. Let's be blamed for disobeying unjust laws. Fight back and disobey! Fight back! Disobey! Fight back! Disobey! Thank you. You are all so beautiful, and I love you all so much. Wow, you look wonderful.
My name is Edith Guffey. My pronouns are she, her. I am a mother, a grandmother, and a person of faith. And I am the first African American woman to serve as the chair of PFLAG National, the largest organization in the fight for LGBTQ+ people and families. I have a trans child, now an adult, but really the fight that brings us here today belongs to all parents. The right to make medical decisions about our children belongs to parents and families working closely with their health providers, not the courts. And PFLAG is in this fight for families. So when Missouri, North Carolina, and Texas banned parents from getting medically necessary care for their children, PFLAG took those states to court. We're represented by Lambda Legal, the ACLU, and Transgender Law Center. I'm a Christian. My gender-diverse child grew up in a loving and affirming faith community. I served as a faith leader in the denomination for over 30 years. Some use God as justification for their hate. But I remind us all that God is love. And I remind us of that commandment that we love one another. Now, what does love look like to some people? But to us, what does love look like? To me, it looks like all of us here standing together. I am insulted by those who use God and weaponize God to attack our transgender youth and children. And as a Black woman, the use of our transgender kids and community as easy political targets, sometimes, somehow that feels strangely familiar. And I am tired of the same old divisive games. For over 50 years, PFLAG has been leading with love. We have fought these fights for freedom before, and we have won. Now, even when the road is long and the battle is hard, even when we had people that didn't support us, we won. And we will again. Because in the end, we know that love wins.
You have a guitar? Maybe come up here and maybe some more.
So every transgender person and family,
I'm sorry if I'm being a little bit
here,
bossy. That's, you know.
he flags loves and affirms you for who you are.
But now I'm very thrilled with that.
Just as you are. And we are not backing down.
My name's Kristen Browdy. I'm a 74-year-old out transgender woman. And I'm an attorney with a really bad attitude.
I mean, it's the same 7 shots.
The reason I've got a bad attitude is listening to these folks here and the legislators who back them, who are cisgender people with the ultimate, it may be your body, but it's going to be their choice. Hell no. And a bunch of us who are out transgender attorneys wondered, what can we do about this? What can we do about the folks back there in that courthouse? And we formed something called the National Trans Bar Association, of which I am the past chair and still the director. And we came up with the idea that these folks don't know who they're making decisions about. They didn't know when they decided Boston and R.G. Harris that there were actually transgender attorneys in the room there litigating that case. Well, today they're hearing from one of them, actually 2 of them, Chase Strangio, and my co-chair, Lucas Cameron Law, the ACLU in Tennessee. And we thought, how are we going to let them know the transgender people are no different from them? The transgender attorneys do the same jobs that they do. And we came up with the idea that we would move the admission into the United States every year of a group of transgender attorneys. And as luck would have it, yesterday was our day for this year. The day before this argument, I got to stand up before the justices and say, Mr. Chief Justice, and may it please the court, I moved the admission of, and I read the list of names, and they all stood up, and they saw another group. Do you want to just stay with us? People who look just like them, who do the same job as them, and who do it as well as they do. And that is how we deal with the hate and the anger over there. We show them that we are people who do what they do, who live lives just like theirs. We want to make better communities. We want to have safe places to raise our kids, have them get real educations, not crap science from over there. And that we will not back down. We will be there every year, no matter what laws they have, no matter how they try to take away things from our lives. It won't work. We're going to be there. You're going to be there. Thank you for being here, because together, there's no way they stop. I gotta go.
I think at 11:25 night.
My name is Shauna Jones, and I'm proud to stand here today representing the over 11,000 mothers of LGBTQ+ kids that make up the Mama Dragons organization. I grew up in a tiny potato farming town in Idaho. Go Idaho! In a devoutly conservative and religious family, and met my husband at a Christian university.
Let's do it.
And we homeschooled our children, and we were about the farthest thing from the typical liberals trying to indoctrinate their kids that you could find. But when our oldest child came out to us as transgender, we believed him. We knew our child. We know his heart, and we believed him when he told us who he was. Every day across this country, parents have to make medical decisions for their children. And that's one of the sacred responsibilities that we hold as parents. We have another child who had childhood cancer, and we treated him with chemotherapy and radiation as a toddler because those treatments were backed by data and studies and survival rates that supported using them. When our oldest came out as transgender, again, we followed medical advice. We read research. We followed the recommendations of every major medical association in this country. We counseled with therapists and specialists. We had survival rates to back up our choices. But this time we did not have the unwavering support of our families, of our church community, and even of our legislators. And now this court wants to have a say in these private medical decisions, to take them out of our family's hands into the hands of people without medical degrees. Just as much as we do not regret treating our middle child with chemotherapy and radiation, because it saved his life. We just as much as we don't regret treating our middle child with chemotherapy and radiation because it saved his life, we also do not regret treating our oldest child with gender-affirming care because it saved his life.
I saw the congresswoman earlier. There's a Montana law.
Gender-affirming care is life-saving care. And
so we probably don't want to go deeper in because then we'll be like packed up.
Children are treated with the equal compassion and dignity. Their health care is recognized as non-negotiable and necessary. And their families are surrounded by the love and support that they deserve. Together we will breathe fire against injustice and light the way toward equality.
My name is Gabriel Arkless. I'm here with my colleagues Ash Lazarus and Nikki Mia, and we're from Advocates for Trans Equality. We're a trans-led organization fighting for the legal and political rights of trans people around the country. I want to talk to y'all today about Frances Thompson. She was a black disabled woman who lived in Tennessee at the end of the 19th century. And she was one of many black people who were targeted during the Memphis race riots by her white neighbors. She survived and she spoke out. She came to Washington and she testified.
All right, good morning everyone. My name is Chris Barrett. And I am here with an LGBT.
And she did it as a part of an effort to change the Constitution to make it so government could not target black people or members of other subordinated groups anymore. And she won.
Right there is fine because it's not in that picture. And then,
it was partly because of her testimony that we even have a 14th Amendment guaranteeing us the equal protection of the laws that they're arguing over in that court right now. Now, years later, she got arrested, probably for being disabled, poor, and black in public. and they decided to examine her because they were curious about her disability. And they learned that she was trans, and she got fined. When she couldn't pay the fine, they put her in jail. And that means that part of the reason we have a constitution that guarantees us equality is because a trans woman fought for it back in the 1800s. We have been here a long time, and we are not going anywhere. When I was inside that court for Bostock, a lot of people told us that we couldn't win, but we won. Whatever they do in that court, I believe that we are going to win because we have each other. Because we are going to keep fighting, we are going to keep loving, we are going to keep caring for each other and showing up for each other.
Okay.
We will be on Capitol Hill, we will be in the courts, we will be in the state houses, and we will be on the streets. We will build trans power, we will defend trans freedom, and we will advocate for trans equality. We've had the privilege of representing a few of the many of us who have benefited from hormones in briefs explaining to this court and other courts around the country just how much this care means to us and how it allows us to survive and thrive. And I'd like to leave with the words of one of those people who've allowed us to represent her, the late and beloved Cecilia Gentili. She said, transgender youth know who they are and they know what they need. Our job is to listen to them. Thank you.
Hola mi gente! ¿Cómo están? Okay, everyone, I'm attorney Elizabeth Rodriguez-Ross. I'm here with Sarah Austin and Braden and Josh. We're from Glad Law. I am also a mom of 3 very fierce daughters, and many years ago, one of my daughters needed medical care. And my husband and I didn't really know what we should do. We were scared, and we needed information to help our daughter. She was 12. So we turned to those who have experience and training and people we trusted. Our pediatrician, a therapist, a psychiatrist, many specialists. We met with a team of experts, all trained, experienced medical providers, who, along with my family, helped my family make medical decisions that were necessary for our daughter. Laws that ban medical care for transgender youth take away the family's ability to ensure that their child can receive the care that they need. Care that, as you heard from the pediatrician earlier, it is approved by the nation's leading medical authorities, the American Endocrine Society, the American Medical Association, and the American Academy of Pediatrics. And it takes away their training and experience and gives it to politicians who are neither experts or knowledgeable about the vast evidence in support of care for transgender youth. I want what's best for my kid. And I know you want what's best for your kid, especially in the most urgent and scary circumstances. Can you imagine going to the experts in the field of medical care and being told by that expert, who's a trained professional, that the medication that you need, this medication that is safe and available to all other kids, is not going to be given to you because the government prohibits it from being given to you, to your family, to your kids? These laws emotionally. They tell families and transgender kids, medication that's good for others is not good for you. All because they want to politicize medical care in the face of overwhelming medical science. The government wants to replace their views, their discrimination, their lack of knowledge, their lack of training for experienced medical professions. Now, many of us here are parents, and while we as parents have been learning along the way, these medical professions, they have an accepted standard of practice that's based not on politics, but on science. And it is my hope today that the court will find, like they did in 2017, that these laws discriminate because of sex. And once and for all, tell the world you cannot discriminate against a transgender person without violating the most sacred protections of our society. Let today be the day that we stand up and ensure that every family, no matter who they are, has the freedom to provide the best care for their child. Let today be the day that we send a message loud and clear to the world that discrimination will not stand in the way of justice, compassion, and the well-being of our children. Thank you.
Hello and good morning to everyone. My name is Mila. I'm 12 years old. I'm in 8th grade, and of course, I'm a trans girl. Now, I have a normal life. I have a loving family. I hang out with my friends. I have sleepovers. I have after-school activities. I speak 4 languages, and I even got elected as my school's student representative twice. I live as a girl, and no one questions because there's nothing to question. To be honest, I've never had to worry about gender-affirming care. It's always been easy to receive professional advice and medical care. And now that I'm older, I can finally understand it's gender-affirming care. It's one of the reasons that I've kept going, kept pursuing, that I've stayed strong and happy. Now suddenly, out of nowhere, I'm hearing states are banning gender-affirming healthcare. I can't even tell you how my life would be without it. I mean, when I think of possibilities like that, I just get this overwhelming amount of sadness, fear, and anger. I'm just heartbroken for the people that have to experience that. And this... Despite me having a normal life, it's wild that people think that trans kids are just a danger to society. How did they get that? I mean, and on top of all of that, whenever I go to big events, I'm a kid. But people won't really take me seriously. And I find that frustrating. But you know what? In spite of all of that, I'm standing right here in front of the Supreme Court because I have the guts to make change, to do what's right, to make things better. And let me tell you something, I'm proud of being a trans girl. They might want to take away our rights,
to you, beloved trans, non-binary, gender non-conforming, and two-spirit community. What a gift, what a privilege to be standing on this stage with the likes of Mila. Could we please support her? My name is Jenny Alexander Allen, and I am a gender-fluid trans femme. My pronouns are they and she. I was a public school teacher. I was a youth program coordinator. And I am a minister and public theologian. And I'm here to speak truth to power today. Can I get an amen? Now you may have heard it said that trans youth don't exist. We exist. As someone who was a trans youth, who grew up to be a trans adult, and went on to work with trans youth, I can tell you we exist. I can also tell you how isolated and alone I felt as a youth. And it does my heart so much good to see all of the support here today, and to hear voices speaking in solidarity. I can tell you that as a teacher, I've worked with trans youth, and I saw that when they are affirmed, they bloomed. When they are loved, they grew. When they were supported, they became their full, authentic, loving selves. And you may have heard it said that this is a matter of religious freedom. But I'm here to tell you, I am a person of faith. There are others who are people of faith. Where is our religious freedom? Banning proven, appropriate, and necessary medical treatment for trans youth does not preserve faith. It is a destruction of God's great diversity and love. And I want every trans youth across this nation, across this world, to know unequivocally, beloveds, you are seen. You are sacred. You are loved by God in your full authenticity. And we are here to fight for you. Just like the
Good morning, everyone. My name is Rebecca York. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm the Director of Youth Development and Community Engagement at SMILE. For 40 years, SMILE has been dedicated to supporting and empowering LGBTQ+ youth. We believe in the power of young people to determine their own lives, to use their voices, and to stand loud and proud as leaders for change. But here I am speaking in front of you today, and I am not a youth. I want to be transparent. We had a young trans advocate who wanted to speak, but she worried about being so visible in this political moment. Ultimately, she chose safety over speaking. This is the reality of the moment we're in. As anti-trans rhetoric increasingly becomes anti-trans legislation, queer and trans youth are grappling with fear and uncertainty about how cases like this will impact their futures. These cases claim to protect youth, but target their access to health care and question their right to self-determination. Some state lawmakers even threaten to remove trans youth from their parents' custody just because their parents support them. How does this keep youth safe? Keeping youth safe means equipping parents and caregivers with the tools to help their children. because trans and non-binary youth deserve access to life-affirming health care. After all, if trans and queer lives were not overwhelmingly powerful evidence of the possibility of change and hope, people would not be working so hard to erase us. To every trans and non-binary youth, remember this: no decision, no law, no societal judgment can change who you are or the incredible strength you carry within you.
Good afternoon, good morning. I'm not sure I was supposed to speak at 11:13, but I'm not paying attention to the time. I am Tatiana Williams, the Executive Director and co-founder of Trans Inclusive Group, the first trans-led organization by a black woman in the state of Florida, where the Satan lives. I have to say, my work has been very busy. I'm going from state to state, advocating to make sure that our community is safe. Work has a tendency to pull me in a lot of directions, and like my life has pulled me in directions. I fight for freedom, equality, and access to health care is all that we ask for. Some of us are born into it, and some of us had to fight like hell to achieve it. As a 50-plus-year-old black trans woman, standing here before you, I did it my way. I say that to say this: we did not have access to health care, the financial means to have access to a doctor when I transitioned. We had nothing but our girlfriends and the black market. I need you all to understand, having the opportunity and having access to a doctor to make sure that we are taking the medication, and when we have access and have the abilities and the protocols to make sure our trans youth are safe, like I would have wanted to be safe when I was a younger trans person. This is what we are fighting for. You say you are trying to protect the children. You say you are trying to protect us. But I tell you, when I was a young trans woman, I had no doctors to look after me. It was my girlfriends and my friends making sure that I was safe. So we are talking about health care. Are we really? Do you really care about how we feel? Do you really care about our lives? Because if you cared about our lives, you would understand what we are fighting for. I personally don't give a damn what's going on back there in all of these places. As a black trans woman, all I've been doing was fighting my entire life. And I want you all to understand, listen, baby, I want you to lean in. We will find a way. You all will not, I want to repeat, lean in, come on cameras. I want to repeat, you all will not stop the transition of our people. I don't care. I don't care how much you talk. I don't care how much you have conversations, but I want you to understand, we exist. We're not going nowhere, and you all are not going to stop shit. We're going to make sure that our youth, that our siblings get everything that they deserve. Why? Because our ancestors put us in place to make sure that shit happens. Thank you. Thank you, Tatiana. Let's hear for Tatiana. LGBTQIA community and our supporters, how y'all feeling out there? I don't know if you had a chance. I know you were out here listening. We are holding down the fort inside, and I got to tell you that Chase and the rest of our fabulous attorneys from Lambda Legal and the ACLU are holding it down inside those halls. I can't believe it's the very first time that a trans attorney has ever argued in that court, let alone on behalf of trans rights and trans justice. It's the first time, and it should. We don't want it to happen again, but hopefully it won't be the last time either. Listen, y'all, I am so excited to bring up to the stage our next speaker from California. Please give it up for Representative Takano.
Well, I think it's still good morning. Good morning. Are you warm enough out there? Well, my name is Mark Takano, and I was the first openly gay person of color to serve in Congress. And we are gathered in front of the Supreme Court, united in our call for freedom as the justices hear today's arguments. We are calling on the highest court in the land to remember that freedom is not reserved for a select few. The Constitution's freedoms exist for all Americans, including trans Americans. They deserve the freedom, you deserve the freedom to make decisions about their own bodies for themselves. We have seen what happens when justices take away America's freedoms. We saw it 2 years ago when the Dobbs decision stripped countless Americans of their constitutional rights. Within a week of the Dobbs decision, Dobbs was cited in every single anti-trans related case being litigated at the time. Doctors, the very same people we trust to guide us through some of our hardest decisions, have been very clear about where they stand as doctors. Every major medical association in the United States supports providing transgender patients the care that they need. And access to care isn't some academic exercise. For trans people, this is critical, often life-saving care. Now, trans patients don't make these decisions in a vacuum or in a whim. They talk with doctors, mental health professionals, and in the case of a young person seeking care, parents. Today, the Supreme Court is hearing arguments that cut to the heart of trans Americans' freedoms to get the care that they need. So I hope that the justices strike down the Tennessee ban. Because right now, politicians are substituting their own judgment for the judgment of doctors, using the government to override what the medical community is saying. And these politicians are saying that they know better. The result is that some kids get the health care they need, and some kids won't. It is fundamentally unfair to deny health care for transgender youth just on the basis of their gender identity. We cannot permit freedom to be the domain of only some Americans. In the months and years ahead, they will keep on trying to go after trans people. But we will not abandon the trans community at the moment when they need us. To every trans person here today, I want to say, you deserve dignity. You deserve respect. And you deserve recognition under the law. We have always had to fight to ensure that the promise of the Constitution was carried to all Americans. You know, when the Constitution was first established in 1789, it did not recognize and include all people. We fought a terrible and brutal civil war, and out of Reconstruction, we expanded the idea of who was an American through the 14th Amendment. It took a full century for the spirit of the law to begin to be fulfilled. And at stake today is nothing less than the basic decency of the court recognizing trans people as full Americans. So thank you for being here, and thank you for being who you are. Thank you for your energy, your passion, and your drive. We need all of those things, and we need you. God bless all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Representative Takano. As he was saying, you know, I mean, I think it's really important that we, given how the recent election went, it's really, really important that we start to look at our communities and hold our elected officials accountable 100% of the way, so that they know, we know that our needs are being represented. And in a day and age when there are so many elected officials that are wasting their time and energy trying to attack our community, it feels really good to know that we still have some champions in all areas, in all states, in all cities across this country that care for who we are and understand that LGBTQ people deserve to be treated equally as everyone else does, and our needs are just as important as everyone else's are. And there's another person who represents that very well from the great state of Massachusetts. Let's make some noise for Senator Markey!
Thank you so much. I'm Senator Ed Markey from Massachusetts, and I am honored to have co-led the amicus brief that is before the Supreme Court of the United States with the signatures of 163 members of Congress on the amicus brief, which affirms Congress's support for gender-affirming care for transgender youth. And I'm proud to lead the Trans Bill of Rights bill in the United States Senate, because it is our moral obligation to defend the fundamental rights of trans people. Thank you to the ACLU, Lambda Legal, national LGBTQ leaders, and the trans and non-binary advocates and their families who are here today. Thank you also to my congressional partners on the amicus brief and in this fight, Senator Jeff Merkley, Representative Pramila Jayapal. Today, the court will hear the first case on whether Tennessee's ban on safe, effective, life-affirming, and life-saving gender-affirming care for transgender children is unconstitutional. What the Supreme Court decides in this case will determine whether more than 100,000 transgender and non-binary children and their families will have the freedom to make decisions about their health care with a trained provider, or be forced to follow rules that are set by politicians. We will not simply stand by while Republicans fight to make it harder to get health care. And that is why I join you with pride, having written to the Supreme Court urging it to strike down Tennessee's ban. We are here to fight for the rights of everyone in our country. Everyone who is protected by the Constitution of the United States. We have to fight for those rights, and we are here to organize the fight for trans rights, for health and for freedom and for liberation. And we are here today to say loudly and clearly to the Supreme Court to Congress and to every American, trans rights are human rights. Yesterday, I met with Abbott, a constituent of mine from Massachusetts. He is 12 years old and a 3-time Little League All-Star baseball catcher who also plays the saxophone in his band and jazz ensemble in his spare time. Abbott is a successful and beloved student, and with the freedom and dignity to get the health care he needs, Abbott is thriving. I wish for every child to have the freedom, the opportunity, and the joy which Abbott has. And it is clear to me that Abbott does too. He came into my office not to beg for his rights. He is organizing, and he is taking them. And I fully support him, and I fully support you in your fight to have all of your constitutional rights, which are going to be protected. And I'm doing this because, as many of you here know, freedom is not inevitable. It is fought for by people who say no in the face of discrimination, no in the face of invasive laws that seek to limit what health care you can get, and no to the anti-justice and anti-freedom agenda driving attacks on gender-affirming care. This agenda is driven by Republicans at every level of government who have been leading constant and escalating attacks on Americans' freedom. They intimidate and they threaten trans people, their families, and their providers because hate and fear is easier than the fight for freedom and equity and justice for every American, and they have taken their obsession with trans rights suppression all the way here to the Supreme Court of the United States. As the oral arguments continue inside, we stand outside today as a clear sign that the fight for trans rights marches on. And we have a clear demand. The court must strike down Tennessee's ban on gender-affirming care for transgender and non-binary youth. The Supreme Court has a decision to make. Are they willing to protect equal rights to health care or the right to discriminate? Are they for freedom or for the relentless obsession to control trans people? Are they for trans rights or against them? The answer here is clear. A nation that stands for the principle that all people are created equal, that we are all endowed with certain unalienable rights, including life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, will affirm and uphold civil rights and equality for transgender Americans. We are here to fight for that America. To every trans and non-binary American, the fights ahead will be difficult. But I am with you. I see you. I love you. We will fight and we will win. Thank you all. This is a fight we must continue.
Hey! Hey! 30-second dance party. Hey! Hey! 30-second dance party. Hey! 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 And cut. Once a queen, always a queen, darling. You know, as Senator Markey and and Representative Takano were speaking, it really drove home the importance of having elected officials who work as allies and work to protect their constituents. But it also reminded me of the importance of allyship in our everyday lives. When I was in school, I didn't know a lot of other trans or queer people. I felt like I was the only one, but I had so many people around me who showed me love, who showed me inclusion, and showed me that they cared about who I was regardless of who I was. Allyship is so important, and I gotta tell you, our next speaker is 100% there. Not only an actor, a comic, one of the most hilarious people I know, a producer, one of the best movies that come out last year, Babes. You have to check it out if you haven't seen it. Also one of the co-creators of Generator Collective, doing such essential election work, always on the right side of history as far as I'm concerned with regard to pretty much every single argument and every single conversation that has to do with equality and equal rights and fairness and humanity. Y'all, please give it up. You know her, you love her. Make some noise for my friend, the fabulous Alana Glazer!
Thank you. Give it up for Peppermint. Woo. Hosting the hell out of this. Damn. My name is Alana Glazer. My pronouns are they and she, and I am an artist and an activist. And despite the circumstances, I am so happy to see all of you here today. I'm so happy to be with you because I love a story about an unlikely hero, about a guy who's underestimated and when called upon rises up to exceptional heights, gathering all his courage to exceed the call of duty, not only to fulfill his role, but to change the world. And no matter what happens in that court today, December 4th, 2024, Chase Strangio is an American hero changing the world for the better. Today, Chase and a team of lawyers from the ACLU and Lambda Legal are defending the people of the United States, arguing for the Supreme Court to strike down Tennessee's ban on medical care for young people who are trans. Tennessee is one of 24 states, 24 out of 50 of our United States, which outlaws doctors from providing care they deem necessary for families with trans kids. This case, making its way from Tennessee up to the Supreme Court, reaches far beyond trans youth. Today, the majority of Americans' God-given freedom over our own bodies is being threatened. We've seen these same tactics played in prohibiting doctors from providing life-saving medical care to people who need abortions. 41 out of our 50 United States have bans on abortion, bans that force women to stay pregnant, force women to give birth, bans that kill women and girls. We Americans, as a nation, are fueled by freedom. There is no freedom found in talking about the private, sacred parts of Americans' bodies on a political stage. There is no freedom in our government invading our medical appointments. Medical care should be between patients and their care providers.
And I'm overwhelmed and arguing here today because I see now that the court is telling me that has not abandoned the heart of our public. They have been trying to say that out for decades. He has not abandoned all of our public. Our judges or our courthouses is still there. The fact that we are here today is that we our children. And the truth is, they are not our children. Every good and perfect plan from God. Children are less powerful than I think strong communities for our family and one path growing up in this world with the unimaginable ways and
I'll tell you, Morgan, the arguments are going on for much longer than they were scheduled. It's really fascinating. There's a huge set of arguments here. It's really going on two levels. The basic legal question in this case is whether this law violates the Constitution's discriminates on the basis of sex. And the purpose of this law saying that it doesn't
I mean, I
So, are you big implications, as you said.
Obviously, I'm not a Hollywood celebrity. I don't even have Instagram followers.
So a lot on the line.
Lobby has chosen to hijack people's trauma and farm them to the ballot box. They don't care about the votes. They don't care about their physical health. They don't care about their social emotional well-being. They care about whether or not they can produce a consumer and a voter because they can monetize in the long run. And they have found the right environment for this. And I understand that some
What's the next hit?
a lot of people have made a lot of decisions about why we did what we did in Tennessee. They contributed to hate. They contributed to division. A lot of ladies.
Yeah, I know.
We're going to tell you that we are here to liberate. We're to liberate people from a captivity that has oppressed them to be cogs in the machine of people who are trying to use them for ballot purposes. That's what you do. I've been affected by this in my personal life. I have friends, godchildren who are being hijacked by this movement, and I've watched them suffer. So I have a message to those people, maybe to my godson that might hear next week watching this event. It is this, and at one point we used to tell people to be mentally healthy, to be well as an adult, you needed to learn to love yourself. You know what? There is no surgical procedure to remove guilt or shame. There is no surgery that you can have that makes you more intelligent. You're going to encounter issues in your life where you find yourself both limited and inferior. And it's not always going to be about how you look and how you identify.
Yeah.
You're going to find yourself not as smart as you want to be, not as talented as you want to be, not as capable. In those moments, what do you do? There's no doctor that cuts that out of you. There's no surgeon that can come in and remove the trauma, remove the depression, remove the bipolar disorder. There's no surgeon that can come and make you more athletic, make you more intellectual, make you more intelligent, make you more socially accepted. What then? What do you do then? Unless we begin protecting our children and teaching them that loving themselves, both in their possibilities, in their limitations, and everything that makes them, we cannot prepare them for adulthood. All we did in Tennessee was say, let kids grow up. All we did in Tennessee was say, this is too soon. All we did in Tennessee is say, you have not proven to us that you have the best interest of care in mind when you address and one last message. And that's to the shillings and professionals who've abandoned science for ideology and politics. I don't know how abundant that is in psychiatry, and I don't know how abundant that is in medicine. But I do know that it is abundant enough to produce fruit. I do know that it is abundant enough to where there are children whose lives are changed of their entire life because somebody decided what they need to do to better than care of a person's brother. In Tennessee, we stand with wellness. We stand with our citizens that identify with LGBT+. We stand with them in wellness into adulthood. That's one thing with this bill when we pass it. That's to give children time to grow and to grow up. I have 4 children. I'm a father of 4. I love them and I love them dearly. And I can only tell you that as capable as my children were, they were not capable of making these decisions. They were 13. So I think what it's saying is define the narrative of hate. Show people love. Show them acceptance and acceptance of the truth that they need to learn to love themselves as we love them too. Thank you, and God bless you.
It's different because like quarterback now isn't very good.
Thank you, Senator Love. Our next speaker is Senator Paul Rose. Paul has been married to his wife for 52 years. He is the father of 3 children and the grandfather of 6. Elected to the Tennessee General Assembly in March of 2019. He represents Senate District 32. He serves on the Judiciary Committee, the Government Operations Committee, the Energy and Natural Resources Committee, and the Fiscal Review Committee. He serves on the Board of Directors of the Tennessee Baptist Children's Home, the Boys and Girls Club of the Tennessee River Region, the Diamond Burgers Foundation Board, and the Board of Directors of the Skyscraper. Paul is a member of the First Baptist Church in Fulton. Please join me in welcoming Senator Rose.
Could you imagine if there was a school and they were like, oh my god, I figured it out. Like the Pentagon Supreme.
This bill has bipartisan support. But I'm very thankful for that. I take it very seriously. I have a job as state representative of the state of Tennessee, and especially children. I also believe if you look at the U.S. Constitution, that nowhere in that Constitution does it require that states commit experimentation on children. And that's exactly what you're doing when you allow transgender surgery and medical changes. I'm not going to talk long because all of you know for me, this vote, the vote that I made, is not just because of the Constitution, but more importantly, it aligns with the immutable word of our Creator God. In His own image, He made I thank God for we thank God for the Supreme Court that I believe is going to rule in favor of Tennessee law and 20 plus other states that rule similar legislation. God bless you. God bless America.
Thank you, Senator. Our next guest is Kim Hart. Kim is a native of Maryland. She is the chapter chair of the March Your Liberty chapter in Carroll County, Maryland. She has 5 children, and she is a strong advocate for parental rights in the state of Maryland and beyond. Please join me in welcoming Kim. Good morning, everyone. So good to see all of you out here today. My name is Kim Hart, and I'm with Dogs for Liberty. 4 years ago, I was just a mom. I was not political at all. I had never even attended anything like this. But I was a mom of 5 who recognized that my children were being harmed. At that time, we were fighting for our rights, for our children to breathe, the right for them to receive education in person, and the ability for us to choose whether or not they received experimental drugs. Isn't it interesting that the same people who were fighting for our kids to be protected from forced masking are now the same people who are fighting for them to go through natural puberty, for girls to be safe in their private spaces and secure, and for them to be able to grow into have their own beautiful and unique children one day. 4 years ago, the mutilation of children was speaker is Rachel Below. She serves as legal counsel for the Center for Conscious Initiatives, the Alliance Defending Freedom. She focuses on protecting the conscious rights of individuals forced to compromise their beliefs under threat of violence and punishment. Below joined INDIAC in 2019 as a litigation fellow and worked on the Life Public Policy Center for Christian Ministry and Center for Conscious Initiatives. Below earned her JD from William and Mary Law School in 2019. She obtained her BA in Political Science from the University of Florida in 2015. She is a member of the bar in the District of Columbia, Massachusetts, and Virginia. Please join me in welcoming Rachel.
Every child deserves to be kept safe from harmful drugs and surgery. No one has a right to harm children. Tennessee's law protects children from dangerous, life-altering, and unnecessary drugs and surgeries. The medical profession has a duty to promote health and issues. Drugs, prostate hormones, and they have no long-term benefits. Instead, turn children into lifelong depletion of lives. And in many cases, deprive children of the basic human right of parents and children. Parents and kids cannot consent when they're not told. These drugs and surgeries cause catastrophic harm and offer no immediate benefits. Harmful and life-altering drugs and surgeries with often irreversible consequences are never an answer for children to experience discomfort with their sex. We have heard from so many great women today, like Trisha Mosley, and what has happened to Trisha and Cole is a preventable tragedy. Tennessee's law ensures that no more children suffer from healthcare providers putting ideology over health, lives over children, and political agendas over science. Back in 2022, videos emerged exposing the practice of, quote, gender transitions for kids at the Tennessee Vanderbilt University Medical Center. In one video,
alongside local, state, and national allies. Jonathan guides CFC in shaping policies that promote the sanctity of life, the strength of marriages and families, and the necessity of religious freedom. Thank you, Jonathan.
Hey, Canada guys, I've actually withdrawn my
Well, good morning, everybody. I think I'm one of the brave last case of emergency speakers because the justices are going long. But it is an honor to be here today. My name is the President of California. And I'm coming to you today from California because tragically, California is at the root of so much of this insanity and this harm that is being propagated not just across the nation, but even around the world. Some of you may be familiar with one of our infamous legislators out of the city of San Francisco. Have any of you ever heard of Scott Wiener before? I am ashamed to say that he is one of our state senators in the state of California, and he is one of the absolute most notorious advocates of the radical transgender ideology that is harming so many people, both in our state and around the nation. I'm standing before you today on behalf of families, not just in the Golden State, but really across the entire nation. I traveled from California here because what happens in this building behind us today is going to affect every child, every family, and every state in America. Look, you've heard a lot of speakers today. You don't need to reiterate everything, but the question before the Supreme Court that they're debating right now is monumentally simple and yet very profound. Do individual states have the right to protect children from experimental and unproven medical procedures that can permanently disable their bodies, destroy their fertility, and devastate their future? The answer to that question must be yes. States must have the right to do no harm.
I don't need no state to ruin my fertility.
We gather on these historic steps because every child deserves to be kept safe. This is not a conservative value or a liberal value. We've heard from people across the political spectrum today. The idea of doing no harm is a fundamental human value. And that's what Tennessee's law does. It protects vulnerable children from dangerous, life-altering procedures that can never be undone. Let me repeat that. These procedures can never be undone. Even when you heard from one of our dear friends, Chloe Cole from California, you heard her incredible story of detransitioning. The permanent medical alterations that were made to her body can never be fully reversed. The medical profession, rather, should have a sacred duty to promote health and human flourishing. Instead, what we're witnessing now is the wholesale abandonment of the fundamental principle of medicine, which is do no harm. Puberty-blocking drugs, cross-sex hormones, and surgeries often inflict irreversible damage on children, including the risk of permanent sterility and stunted brain development. They have no proven long-term benefits, but instead turn children into lifelong medical patients. Let me be clear again. This case isn't about discrimination. It's about protecting children from experimental procedures that leave them sterile, stunt their brain development, and turn them into lifelong medical patients. No one, not parents, not doctors, not the government, no one has the right to inflict these harms on children who cannot possibly understand the lifelong consequences of these decisions. The science is clear, and the world is watching. Sweden, England, Finland, nations that once championed these procedures have now changed course. Why? Because after reviewing all the available studies, they found no reliable scientific evidence that these procedures improve mental health. In fact, England's National Health Service concluded that all claimed benefits were based on very low quality evidence. Let that sink in. We are permanently altering children's bodies based on evidence so poor it would not pass muster for any other medical procedure. And here's what we do know, and this is crucial. The American Psychological Association itself acknowledges that the vast majority of children will naturally resolve their gender dysphoria as they mature. By rushing to medicalize their confusion, we're not helping these precious young people, we're trapping them in distress. They would likely overcome naturally with proper support and counseling. Since the court arguments appear to have ended, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up, but I just want to say thank you so much for being here. Thank you for standing on behalf of kids. Thank you for standing on behalf of families. And we hope and pray the justices make the right decision today. God bless you.
Okay, everyone, we just received word that oral arguments have concluded and that the attorney teachers are about to come out of the court. So let's get ready to give them a warm welcome. And I'm going to bring up Dr. Ross one more time to help welcome them out.
We have on our side, and it's been said before, we have the evidence on our side. We know that these kids are struggling. We know that they're suffering. And we know that their desperate parents are looking for answers. And as a physician, I want to help people. I got into medicine to help people. And I cannot tell you the pain that it brings me to see medicine and healthcare being perverted by these special interests to provide these dubious, harmful, and irreversible so-called treatment to children who are clearly suffering. It starts down this pathway with this benign-sounding social transition of changing names and pronouns and a new wardrobe. But we know that kids that are put on this path continue down this harmful path with puberty blockers that are often claimed to be reversible, just giving children time to make up their mind. But we know those puberty blockers set children up for cross-sex hormones and mutilative experimental surgeries. We know that those puberty blockers themselves are not reversible. Puberty is a normal part of the human experience. It cannot be paused and restarted at the whims of misguided doctors. Let's get riled up here. Oral arguments are wrapping up.
Good.
Tennessee is leading our nation here, stopping these awful procedures, this experimentation on children. We must see all 50 states stop this nonsense. Europe has learned. The UK has learned. Finland has learned. Sweden has learned. We must follow their lead out of this dangerous rabbit hole of experimenting on children and return sanity and the Hippocratic Oath back to medicine. First, do no harm. 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 Do no Let kids grow. Let kids grow.
rally to end child sex change surgeries for children. Thank you for all you do to protect children. God bless you all.
state lawmakers have even threatened to remove trans youth from their parents' custody because the parents support them in giving the evidence-based, life-saving medical care they need.
I'm Jenny Pizer. I'm the Chief Legal Officer for Lambda Legal. We're co-counsel with our dear friends at the ACLU on behalf of the private plaintiffs. I want to read a short statement on behalf of Sasha Bookert, one of the counsel in the case who directs our non-binary and transgender rights project. I want to echo Chase's gratitude to the brave plaintiffs who are part of this case, who allowed us to share their stories, which you heard about today in the court, the impact of Tennessee's ban on them and on their lives. The courage of these families is truly inspiring. And I want to thank our entire legal team, and especially Chase Strangio, who made us so proud today arguing in front of the court as an openly transgender lawyer on behalf of people who are harmed by Tennessee's discrimination. Today, the court heard arguments about whether families have equal freedom to make private informed medical decisions guided by their doctors, or whether politicians without an ounce of medical training will be allowed to step into the shoes of parents and medical professionals to impose their personal beliefs about gender on this wrongfully targeted group of young people without the state having to justify that discrimination in any meaningful way. And as pointed out during the argument, Tennessee's ban is not about safety. It's about doing something to impose a preferred normative view of gender on children and their families. Tennessee urges youth to appreciate their sex assigned at birth and deny treatment or allow treatment if that treatment affirms that sex designated at birth and does not allow a young person to live as a transgender person. It's not based on medical science, it's based on ideology. All the major medical associations agree that this health care is effective, life-saving, and safe. Don't forget for a minute that this same medical care is allowed for young people who are not transgender. If the court allows Tennessee's law to stand without demanding that the state justify its discrimination, it won't just impact health care for transgender youth. It will invite further attacks on our rights and our ability to participate in this society as ourselves, as free people who are equal under the law. We at Lambda Legal stand with every family that loves and supports their transgender children. This fight is about more than health care. It's about the equal right to live authentically and to make personal decisions about our own bodies and our futures. Thank you very much.
Russ.
Attorney for the very first time arguing for trans rights in the halls of the Supreme Court.
Anything else that comes back, whatever. I'm just trying to fix stuff now. Thank God for my life. Many freedom for life. Let it bring salute the ones who die. The ones that give their lives so we don't have to sacrifice all the things we love. Like our children. And go here on Friday night. A pair of keys to get just right. And the radio world. I see sunrise. See the love and just time, and no mother's love gets empty. Go here on Friday night, a pair of jeans and just right, and the radio world. I see sunrise, see the love in a woman's eyes, feel the touch of a precious child, and no mother's love. Oh my God. I feel bad for the poor kids stuck in the car all night too.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you do when your grandma just vanishes?
I don't think Grandma is alive, do you?
Not if it was Monday afternoon. No.
Get out of the car.
5 years old. She doesn't know no better.
Oh, that's gross. I might feel. Yes, hi.
Huh?
6360. Yes, hi. Okay.
Actually being able to use your phone with gloves on?
Yeah, it has, you know, those.
And they actually work?
Yeah.
I need to find those gloves.
Oh yeah, they're everywhere now. Yeah, they used to be rare though.
No, but these are supposed to do that, and they don't.
They don't?
No.
I mean, they're not perfect, but I was able to type an email.
Oh God. That's the brand to have, man.
Fresh out of it. Hopefully that shouldn't be Chelsea, you good? Text me if you have any issues, okay? You got the Wi-Fi and all that stuff already? Keep an eye on the battery on it, because I know what the so it's okay if it dies. I can work it tomorrow. I just don't want to yeah, good luck. You guys do I would say only charge it if you find your no, you're fine. It was at 40% earlier and I thought it only got a little bit charged, but it looks like I got all of it. So don't worry about charging it. Like I said, I can do that. Alright. All right, you guys. Nope.
Vicki and Morgan, you're absolutely right. The conservative justices did appear skeptical of the argument of the plaintiffs in the Biden administration that this Tennessee law runs afoul of the Constitutional Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment and discriminates on the basis of sex. And the proponents of the law argue that it treats boys and girls the same, banning these medical interventions and gender-affirming care for minors of both sexes, and so therefore it doesn't discriminate on the basis of sex. And that was a hard hurdle, it appears, for the plaintiffs to overcome in the minds of some conservatives. The conservatives were also raising questions about whether the Supreme Court should be intervening in what is a really contentious policy debate about whether these interventions are a good idea or a bad idea, and they're pointing out from the conservatives that in Europe, for example, in Britain, there's restrictions that have been placed on this care for minors. The study found that the evidence supporting it was rather thin. Now, the medical consensus in the United States goes in a different direction, and the Biden administration argued in court today that a total ban, both in Tennessee and half the states, really puts a lot of people in a very painful situation. A lot of people really need this care, they won't be able to get it, but it does look like the conservatives are poised to do it.
We have to thank the ACLU and Lambda and all of the LGBTQ-led organizations, national and locally, in each and every single one of these states. Of course, there are local chapters of the ACLU in each and every single state. We want to make sure that we thank everybody out here. Our sound people, our fabulous interpreters, so many people that pulled together and organized.
Sorry, I must have the wrong number.
Make sure that we had this opportunity to make sure that our voices were heard and that people feel the community. Maybe you don't have the type of community that you have right now, which is community of love, you have your experience, community of baptism, not things that you're in. We will continue to multiply as love does multiply. And the people who have helped us spread love so much all day out here in the world, never been inside.
Experimental medical procedures on our children is insane. That is something every single state has the right to do. The different states wants to allow these type of barbaric practices on their children, but they can certainly do that. That's up to their elected representatives and senators. And in the state of Tennessee, we're simply going to protect children. a vast number and a vast percentage of these children blatantly regret the decision to have their body parts taken off, to have their medication put in them that was off-label, and to absolutely destroy their lives forever. It doesn't reduce suicidal ideation, it increases it in many instances. And you can pretend like it doesn't, but you haven't met the kids I had. You haven't speaking to those kids. I know these children. They testified in our committees, and we're not going to let their lives be destroyed in Tennessee, no matter what these crazy folks over here say. Thank y'all for being here. We appreciate it. All right, thank you, Leader Lambert. My name is Jack Johnson. I have the honor of being the Senate sponsor of Senate Bill 1 in Tennessee, and Leader Lambert and I were very proud to get that bill passed overwhelmingly in Tennessee, signed by Governor Bill Lee. It is the law of the state in Tennessee now, and it's been protected in Tennessee. And we're hoping for a good outcome here in the United States going forward. We're getting all across America. We are surrounded on the stage here by a number of members of the Tennessee General Assembly, State House, State Senate. These are the guys that got this legislation done, the men and women that got this done. Let's give them a round of applause for getting this legislation done. Thank you all for being here. It is a cold day. This is America in action. We're doing the right thing. We're protecting kids, and we will never stop fighting for kids in Tennessee or in America. Thank you. Do no harm for putting this together today. Y'all have a great day. God bless America.
Well, good afternoon. I'm Matt Sharp with Alliance for Freedom. And we are excited to stand with Tennessee and the 25 other states that have prioritized kids' health, that have put their well-being at the forefront and passed these laws to protect them from these dangerous gender transitions, drugs, and surgeries. We were so encouraged to hear what the court had to say, that in this developing area of science, when Europe and other countries are reversing course, the United States, rather than challenging people, ought to respect the authority of Tennessee lawmakers as they look at the science and decide there's a better course of action for Tennessee kids. Rather than putting them on a medicalized path, we can get them counseling and psychotherapy. We can let them have a natural childhood, let them naturally develop, and put science above ideology, and put truth above lies. We're encouraged to stand with Tennessee. We're encouraged to support this law and see how more and more states join Tennessee in protecting kids, putting their health and putting their best interests at heart. Thank you so much.
Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you to Leader Lambert and Johnson. Have a great day. I have dedicated my life to all of you. I have dedicated my life to every trans and non-binary body that has been displaced, that has been killed, that has not been birthed. We are going to birth. I'm telling you, we are not going to go back. So wherever you go, have it with you.
Yes, we are. Oh, no, you're not connected. Now you should hear. We were talking about that like 5 minutes ago. have to keep on it has to die with the oldest. I don't yeah, because I'm trying to dilate. Why are they connected to my goddamn line? My fucking things that we're all just asking. What have we come to as a society? The three steps that free speech, brother.
I think this is low enough to not violate that. They have it set up specifically for that. Yeah. You'll have to go to X amount of decibels.
Arriba las chicas superpoderosas.
That's right, Chris. So the plaintiffs and the Biden administration were asking the court to overturn this law on the grounds that it violated the 14th Amendment provision prohibiting discrimination on the basis of sex. And that was a hard thing for the plaintiffs to overcome because the advocates of this law argue that it treats boys and girls the same. It bans gender-affirming care for both as minors. And it appears that a majority of conservative justices are not prepared to overturn this law on the basis that it discriminates constitutes sex discrimination, and they also weighed it into the policy debate. And many of the conservatives expressed doubts that the Supreme Court should be weighing in on this contentious issue, when, as they pointed out, in Europe, for example, some countries, Great Britain, for example, are restricting gender-affirming care, and the medical consensus there is different from the medical consensus in the United States. The Biden administration argued today that denying this care to minors really does harm to people, up to and including encouraging suicide. So there's a real divide there, but again, the conservatives seem very skeptical. I think we have sound that represents both sides of the argument. Take a listen. Chris, we expect a ruling around June, and it will have enormous implications because this isn't just about Tennessee. Obviously, around half the states have passed similar bans, and Donald Trump and the Republicans have threatened to try to enact a national ban and a prohibition on Medicare and Medicaid from covering these kinds of treatments. So this is a really important thing. Thank you so much. You did it. Hopefully you guys can.
Nah, you know. Maybe. Sometime.
Thanks as always, guys. Pros.
Thank you. I'm so sorry I didn't talk to you guys about this.
So listen, to do a 1-on-2 and we're not set up for that. He doesn't have a microphone for it. So it's going to have to be a boom situation.
Yeah.
And that's.
Well, they
I got OCR from New York.
I know. Quite honestly, when I talked to them, when I said that, they said they were going to get going for this stuff, and then, you know, they were like, it seems like check. So I apologize. But and they, yeah, I know. I didn't know she was going to do it. We'll just have to do however we can do it. You know,
That's fine. They need to get it through and bring it up. And someone needs to let New York, we're going on overtime.
Yeah, I will let them know.
Oh, no, yeah, like this.
Yeah, and then they're just like, so
Check, check, check. Check 1, check 2, check 1, check 2. Check, check, check. 2, 1, 2. Check, check, check. Okay.
yes, she should be here.
Hey, Jason. Who's this?
Yeah.
Barnes, getting sharp.
Y'all sitting warm out here?
Doing our best.
Yeah.
How was your holiday?
It was good, actually. It was pretty low key. Went to in-laws, yeah. You can't really change much. I mean, there's nothing else to shoot. That's nothing all breaking down.
Like traffic on getting into I was just like backed up all the way.
And I really appreciate it. there. You have to see it.
Yeah, and you put her right here.
Okay. Closer the gaps on it, it'll be easier this time.
Yeah, no,
Oh, you're going to do that. Okay.
Yeah. Yep, two there, Allie here, flip that camera around and shoot Allie.
Okay.
It'll be nasty.
Yeah. And that camera gets nice and dark.
Yeah.
Three depths, good spot.
No, I'm just going to stick Allie here, turn this one around for a dirty shot.
it's going to be what it's going to be.
Yeah, I'm just putting my stuff away. Thanks for charging me.
Oh, no problem.
You got 2 6s? And a 3? How do you fit it all in that Suburban? You don't? I can barely fit one camera in that goddamn car. And you know what? Those tires, boy, I was spinning all over the place, man. I had to go so slow. Yeah.
They got low clear.
Yeah. Well, you know, I was telling you the mud, what is it, the sidewalls got full of snow and I couldn't move.
They are a bitch to dig out.
It was. I felt like I was digging into the snow. Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll get in that. So.
Yeah. No, just boom them under. That's fine.
Everybody left it there? I guess so, yeah.
Basically right there.
Okay. He's so warm.
Yeah, there you go.
Watch out with that green wire. Your foot must still start to touch. There you go. Yep. Okay.
Good.
Come on over, guys. Thank you so much for doing it.
You're good right there. You're good right there, Mom. Just step to your left a little bit. To your right. There we go. Kind of cozy. Cozy. Your family.
Thank you guys for waiting in the cold for one of those days. We had like live shots here for like 2 hours.
Running around.
Well, it's huge news. I mean, you know, it's going to be, everybody's here. It makes sense. Okay, so as soon as we get rolling, she's back in the room. Drink some hot chocolate. No, were you inside? Okay. Where do you live? Newark, Delaware. I know Delaware well. Sussex County.
Oh, yeah. That's funny.
Georgetown, Delaware. You know, nothing like it. Yeah. Very different than Newark. Yeah. But lovely. I lived in Newark. There was Council Line, Delaware. You guys good?
Yeah, back. Take a step back. Yeah, right there. That's good.
Yeah, my nose. I just need a wet. Oh yeah, sure. I got my better. Oh, you do. Okay. All right.
All right. Hang on just a second. Let me get this rolling.
So I'm gonna need a clap or anything.
Just a second. This one's rolling.
Like, you know, I'm a baby. I come out for 10 minutes and I'm like, I'm good. You know, yeah.
For the season.
Yes,
Like I
yes,
thought it's pretty
exactly,
done.
exactly. Now it's time for May. Right. And I was just there watching. Cover politics.
Yes.
Hot spot for us, you know. Okay. Sorry, I'd like to be a close talker. Perfect.
Your hand behind your back of your head.
Me?
Yeah, right there.
Better?
One more time. Right there.
You, man. You know, sometimes I'm like, I should have just done print. Let me tell you. Better? Thanks, Doug. You need a clap?
I moved you, so I need to set the shot again.
Just packed here earlier.
Did you make sure they're rolling?
I think so. I think so too. I live not too far from here. So you see this a lot. Yeah. Especially in June.
I'm rolling our boat.
It makes it convenient for breaking news. You guys good?
Yep.
3?
Stick your hands way out.
3,
There you go.
2. Okay. All right. So just first things first. Say and spell your first and last name. Just read out.
Appers, A-P-L-A-S, Dennis, M-C-J-I-N-N-I-S. Courtney, C-O-U-R-T-N-Y, Josh, Y-O-U-S-T, Dennis, M-C-J-I-N-N-I-S.
And you're both from upstate Delaware. Okay. And you can look right at me in front of camera. Tell me a little bit about something. What brought you here?
Well, this case is vitally important for trans youth across the country, but it's also vitally important for all individuals that are concerned about bodily autonomy. So this case is really about self-determination, bodily autonomy, and the right to privacy. And being a mother of a transgender child, obviously that's very important to me as well, that they are able to access self-determination.
As a mom, Courtney, tell me about emotionally what's been going through your mind today.
Well, honestly, I think knowing that there's a good chance that we may not see a ruling in our favor, as a parent, you just automatically go, how am I going to make sure that my child gets the care that they need?
Atlas was actually born with a medical condition, and we've been able to utilize all of the doctors and CHOPs to help with that condition. And the fact that we may not be able to treat other parts of their medical needs is devastating.
Atlas, however this ruling goes, Atlas, whatever the justices decide could have a huge impact on your life.
Yes. Well, I'm a member of the transgender youth, and, I've watched friends of friends and other people through social media who have taken their own lives because of how the politics are run in this country. And I lived in Missouri for a bit, and I went to a middle school that was very, very just detrimental to my mental health. I was getting death threats, I was being bullied, I was being followed around places, people were threatening to hate crime me, and they are learning this from all the politicians who are lying about our transgender youth and stuff like that, and it's just so important that we spread the truth and love into the world.
Do you feel like you have a voice?
Right now I do, since I'm on the news, and I am very firm in activism on social media and things like that, but it's hard sometimes because you see everything going on online, and sometimes it's scary to speak out because you don't know what type of people there are online who could possibly attack you and stuff like that for the statements you make.
Alice, what would you want the justices to know about you? Give them a chance.
I'm human. I'm just the same as any other kid, other than the fact that I identify differently. Just because I'm trans doesn't mean I don't go to sleepovers. I don't play video games. I don't mess with my siblings. I'm a human kid. I feel things the same way as other kids do.
You mentioned, I want to say, we now know about how the oral arguments went, and while we can't definitively know until a decision comes down, obviously we can read the rulings, and it does seem like they are leaning towards, at least the conservative justices, upholding states like Tennessee being able to put these bans in place. How do you carry that when you hear that?
I think it's really heavy because I know, I have a lot of statistics that I'm aware of, and I know that there's already a huge suicide rate, and I'm aware that that's going to go up when decisions like this are made. I had a friend whose best friend committed suicide after Donald Trump was elected president for 2025, and it's just really detrimental for people's mental health.
And I think one of the hardest parts is that what you're finding is that people are having to leave the states that are enacting these bans. And so it's going to impact states in many different ways. We did leave Missouri to return to Delaware because Missouri has a ban on gender-affirming care. And we were among many friends that also had to make the decision to leave. And so you're seeing ordinary citizens having to leave the state that they're in order to make sure that their children stay safe. And that is going to impact all sorts of things within that state, from the economy where scientists, lawyers, doctors, workers of all kinds are fleeing because they have to keep their children safe. And I think that's the biggest message that we can share as parents is that we will keep our children safe.
Does Victoria have your contact info? Because I want to make sure I have your cells and stay in touch.
Yeah, we've got everything right.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I really appreciate your time. Safe travels
Yeah,
back home.
and I hope everybody gets warm.
Yes. I know. Go warm up. Thank you again. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
that.
Thanks,
All right.
Ma'am, can you just slide over just a bit? Right there, yes, thank you.
Functioning. I was like, oh no, mine is the same. You guys good?
Okay. Just a pair of steps to the right, just a little bit. There you go. All right. I see the very tip. But that's, I see the very tip. But that's
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
You need another clap? You guys good?
No.
Okay.
Rolling shot. Yeah. Okay, that's good.
Children in general, no parent has the right to harm their own child. Number one, I think is the most important thing that we're talking about today. Children have distress. We agree